Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. You know, we all see the AI revolution happening right in front of us, in the software, the chatbots, the image generators, all these incredible new tools. But that's really only half the story. See, this entire revolution is being built on a hidden foundation, a super high-stakes global battle for the silicon, the hardware that makes it all possible. So today, we're going to explore both of those fronts, the software you see and the silicon you don't.
Okay, let's start with a question that's on pretty much everyone's mind. Is AI coming for our jobs? Well, the reality is, it's a little more complicated than a simple yes or no. Instead of just outright replacing people, what we're seeing is AI reshaping specific jobs by automating the really tedious, boring tasks. And that, in turn, frees up us humans for more of the creative and strategic work.
Take content creation, for example. As Synthesia's CEO, Victor Reaper-Belli, puts it, AI is basically democratizing really complex skills. Their tech lets pretty much anyone create professional-looking videos with AI avatars. Think about that. It turns a super difficult process into something as simple as making a PowerPoint. It's not replacing the need to communicate, it's just completely changing the tools we use to do it.
And this isn't just happening in creative fields. Look at law, a very specialized profession. AI is becoming this new kind of colleague. As the CEO of Robin AI points out, their AI lawyer can sift through thousands of documents in minutes, handling the kind of grunt work that used to take legal teams days, maybe even weeks. The human lawyer, they still set the strategy, they still make the big calls, but all that heavy lifting is now automated.
So while AI is going to touch almost every job in some way, experts are really pointing to three areas that are on the absolute front lines of this change: customer service, legal work, and, this one's kind of ironic, software engineering itself. Yep, the very people building these incredible tools are finding their own work is being radically changed by them.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the new business playbook that AI is writing. Then, we'll dive deep into the silicon that powers everything, which leads us to the global standoff for chip dominance. And finally, we'll ask the big question: what happens next?
All right, let's get into it. AI isn't just about making old jobs more efficient. That's part of it for sure. But the bigger story is that it's enabling entirely new economic models and forcing companies to completely rethink how they create and sell value. Bret Taylor, the chairman of OpenAI, has talked about this massive shift away from the world of paying a monthly subscription for a piece of software. In this new model, which he calls outcomes-based pricing, you don't pay for the tool anymore. No, you pay for the successful result that it delivers for you. It's a huge change in thinking.
And this table really breaks it down. In the old model, you paid your subscription for access to a bunch of software features. In the new model, you're basically paying an autonomous agent to get a job done, and done well. This completely flips the incentive for the tech company. It's no longer about cramming in more features, it's about delivering a perfect outcome.
And if you want to see just how powerful this is, look at this number. For the fintech company Ramp, a single AI agent now resolves 90% of their customer issues with zero human intervention. I mean, that's not just an efficiency gain, that is a total transformation of how customer service works.
But here's the thing. For all this incredible, almost magical software to work, it all relies on something very physical, very real, and very expensive: the unseen hardware of advanced semiconductor chips.
And this is the absolute crucial point. The software revolution is completely, 100% dependent on a hardware revolution. The thirst for more and more powerful AI models creates this insatiable demand for ever more powerful chips. And the race to build them, well, that's defining the entire next era of technology.
Bret Taylor's framework really helps make sense of this. So at the top, you've got applied AI, those push-button solutions like Sierra to solve a specific problem. They're built on top of tools for managing data. But the foundation of this entire pyramid, that's the frontier models, the massive AI brains from labs like OpenAI. And training those brains requires an absolutely astonishing amount of computing power. And where does that power come from? It comes from silicon.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. This is where technology smashes right into geopolitics. The fight for AI dominance has moved out of the research labs and into these multi-billion-dollar fabrication plants, or fabs, that actually make the chips. And here's the critical part. The most advanced fabs in the world, they're not in the US.
So right at the center of the American effort to change this situation is Intel. But the company is facing this classic, textbook chicken and egg problem. See, to compete with foreign rivals like TSMC, Intel has to build these incredibly expensive new factories for its next-gen chips.
But customers won't commit billions of dollars in orders until Intel proves it can actually deliver those chips at scale. And Intel won't commit to building the fabs without those customer orders. It's a complete stalemate.
So how do you break a stalemate like that? Well, the U.S. government is stepping in. The White House is reportedly looking at using funds from the CHIPS Act to take an actual equity stake in Intel. Now, this isn't just a corporate bailout, it's being framed as a national security play. The goal is to bring the manufacturing of the 21st century's most critical technology back onto U.S. soil.
And the other big tool being used to force this change is just straight-up economic pressure. The administration has thrown around the idea of massive tariffs. We're talking 200, maybe even 300% on semiconductors that are made overseas. The message is simple and it's very direct. Build your chips here or you're going to face some crippling costs.
But as with everything in geopolitics, it's not quite that simple. The U.S. is still incredibly reliant on these foreign chipmakers right now, so the policy has these carve-outs built in. Foreign rivals like TSMC and Samsung can actually avoid the tariffs if they build their new factories on U.S. soil. So it's this very delicate dance of trying to prop up a domestic champion while still really needing your competitors.
Okay, so we've seen the two fronts of this AI revolution, right? You've got the visible software that's changing our jobs and businesses, and then you've got this invisible, high-stakes geopolitical battle for the silicon that runs it all. And the key takeaway is that these two fronts are completely intertwined. You can't have one without the other.
And all of this brings us to one final and frankly provocative question. As this technology keeps evolving, who holds the ultimate power? Is it the innovators creating the incredible software? Or is it the nations and the companies that control the silicon? The answer to that question is probably going to define this century. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.